if we look at this food web, okay, a food web is nothing more than all of the food chains in that ecosystem. So I could get you to count all these food chains out. There'd be a lot of them. Now here's the interesting thing. If I take away, let me take away the grasshopper here, okay? So let's just play around with this. Let's take away the grasshopper. So the grasshopper no longer exists. Let's look at the immediate impacts of that grasshopper not being there. Give me one impact. Okay, give me one thing.
The frog only gets half as much food.
Okay, so the frog, which was actually eating the butterfly and the grasshopper, is going to have to do more eating of butterflies. So what's going to happen to the population of frogs, do you think? Will it go up or will it go down? It's probably going to go down, okay? If the population, and actually frogs are going to have to eat a lot more. So what do you think is going to happen to the population of butterflies? It's going to go down. They're pretty much going to get wiped out. Sorry, butterflies. So if there's hardly any, well, there's no more grasshoppers. There's no more, well, there's not many butterflies. What do you think is going to happen to the berries?
There's going to be a lot.
There's probably going to be more berries because there's less things eating them, right? So there's going to be more around. Maybe the green fly is probably going to like have a buffet here. Be like, wow, lots of food. Okay, what happens to the snake? What happens to the snake? Because the snake eats the frog. It might go down. Let's say the snake doesn't change. Who gets impacted by the snake not changing? The titmouse bird, right? This guy's going to become like numero uno buffet for the snake. So this guy's going to crash, right? So do you see how all these things get impacted? We could go on here, okay? If there's not a lot of titmice birds, or what's going to happen to my fox? What's going to happen to my buzzard? Well, it's going to have less choice, that's for sure. So it's going to impact these guys. And it's invariably going to impact the snake too. If the population of frog goes down, what happens to the dragonflies?
Then they go down.
But dragonflies get eaten by frogs.
So then they go up.
Whoa, these guys are like, see ya. If there's a lot more of these, what do you think happens to the ladybugs? There are going to be a lot less of them. Okay? They might actually maintain because there's less titmouse birds. What do you think happens to the green flies if there's less ladybirds? Oh, they're going to go up. That could vary. So you see how different aspects, that could even impact the berries again. Because we said the berries, there'd be more, but if there's more green flies, well,
It might go back to the way it was before.
So do you see the take home here is everything is impacted. Whether it's positively impacted or negatively impacted, you cannot take one thing out of a web and expect the whole web to just keep on chugging along and doing its thing. So here's my question. What happens if we just remove the vegetation? What happens if I get rid of this guy here? So long, berries, you're not with us anymore. There was a forest fire. The berries got burnt. What happens?
Well, then the rabbit, the mouse, the grasshopper, green fly, and the butterfly would go very much down in population.
Well, there's a lot of plantain. I don't see how the rabbit would be impacted. So for sure, this guy, and this guy are going to get impacted, right? Are they going to go down? Well, I would say that if there's none of that, these guys are gone. So long. They don't have a food source, right?
The grasshopper.
The grasshopper I didn't put necks through. Because he's also got plantain to eat. Okay? Now, oh, bird too. Oh, so long, bird. Okay, what happens to the ladybird in this case?
It's going to go down because it won't have a place to eat.
It might go down. Now, maybe it'll learn to feed on something else. But immediately, if all the green flies leave, what happens immediately to the ladybirds? They will actually go up because there's less. If there's none of these guys will go down. You're right. My bad. If those guys go down, what happens to the dragonfly?
Dragonfly goes down.
Ew, no food. What happens to the frog? Oh, that poor frog. He's suffering. He just lost 2 of his food. Those poor grasshoppers, they're going to just turn into like soul food. Okay, these guys are probably going to go down because Senior Frog up there is just going to munch on all of them. Right? So do you see how the entire thing is impacted? I mean, we could go on and on and on. These guys probably would not necessarily be as impacted, especially the mouse and the rabbit, because they have a different food source. Do you see that? So you really have to understand an organism's role in a food chain. All right? So let's talk briefly, while we talk about roles, let's talk about some vocabulary here. Who are my autotrophs in this food web? So the berries and the plantain these guys are my autotrophs. What is another word for an autotroph? A producer, because they make their own food. Okay, now, who are my heterotrophs in this food web?
Green fly, butterfly, grasshopper, rabbit, mouse, and the titmouse.
Not enough. Who are my heterotrophs?
Okay.
If autotrophs make their own food, heterotrophs do what?
Eat them.
They must eat something to get their own food.
Fly, the butterfly, the titmouse, the grasshopper, the mouse.
Everything else is a heterotroph because it does not make its own food. Okay, so heterotrophs. Misspelled that. Heterotroph. Okay, what is a herbivore here? What's a herbivore?
It's something that eats only plants.
Something that eats only plants. So what are my herbivores?
Green fly, butterfly,
Green fly, butterfly,
grasshopper.
grasshopper,
Mouse and rabbit.
titmouse, mouse, rabbit. So these guys are all herbivores. What is an ultimate carnivore? Okay, what is my carnivore here?
The buzzard and the fox and the snake.
The snake is a carnivore. The frog is a carnivore. The dragonfly is a carnivore. The ladybird is a carnivore. The buzzard is a carnivore. The fox is a carnivore. Okay, so we've got a lot of carnivores. Now I haven't asked you about omnivores here because there aren't any. There aren't any in this food web. But what would an omnivore do?
It's an animal that eats plants and
So it's an animal that eats plants and animals, right? So a bear is an omnivore because it will eat berries, but it will also eat fish and other animals. Okay? So here's the take home, right? So all of the blue guys here are also consumers, right? So the take home here is that you can have more than one ecological niche or role in a food web. You can have more than one label. Every organism here has more than one label, right? So these are all the big vocabulary words that we've learned this year. Do you understand how they get incorporated into an actual existing food web? Correction, there is an omnivore in this food web. Ta-da! My poor little titmouse, he's so vandalized. Okay, the titmouse actually eats berries and ladybugs. So the titmouse is considered an omnivore. Now, if I was a decomposer, where would I be?
Worms.
I'd probably be little creepy crawlies that live in the ground, right? Because decomposers break stuff down, right? And that goes back to your matter cycle.